Thank you, Harold. I hope you guys can hear me and see my screen. I'll try to be really on time so that we can all enjoy the last and I think the most awaited session for today, the one of Kevin. So first of all, let me start by telling you that actually this is we have one more session, this one of Kevin. I think all of us are waiting for it. Maybe short to my presentation, it's about key SCOM components, troubleshooting, and it will be a crash course for obvious reasons. We don't have that much time to cover all the stuff needed. My name is Stoyan. I'm a Microsoft MVP for Cloud and Data Center, and also a consultant and a partner at Pon IT Consulting. We are a Swiss-based consulting company. So, without further ado, let's see a short introduction and the scope of today's session or the session context. First of all, why troubleshooting? The reason why I chose the session is because we are at MP University, and in most of the cases, we are watching sessions about management pack developing or all the topics around management packs. And certainly I'm not that good at management pack developing as the other guys which are presenting. So I decided to do a session on something which I'm good at. The reason for this is I was part of the Microsoft Professional and later Premier support for many years, not for SCOM, but for the platform teams, and troubleshooting is, if I may say so, in my blood, or I love doing this. So this is the reason why I chose the session. SCOM, as we all know it, is a pretty complex tool. So it's sophisticated, it's enterprise grade, and as such, its infrastructure is also complex for troubleshooting. So the session will emphasize the operational troubleshooting aspects for SCOM. If you, of course, encounter some issues while setting up SCOM or installing the different components, of course, there are install logs which you can turn to for more information. And setting the scope, so which components are we going to cover today? We have limited time, of course, or unfortunately, so I decided to put out some of the SCOM components, so the troubleshooting, those will not be covered within this session. And actually, the excluded SCOM components will be the SQL databases. I have two reasons for this. The first reason is customers often they are dedicated database administration teams which are not only setting the whole thing up, your databases, your cluster, your always on, but also troubleshooting those. And the second reason for this, of course, time constraints. So we will have a bit more time to cover other more interesting SCOM components. And the other part I'm going to skip is network devices. The main reason for this is actually network device monitoring with SCOM. Let's put it this way: it's okay, but it's not that widely used. So for obvious reasons, we will put it out of the today's presentation. And let's first start with the SCOM agents. We have the Windows agent and the Linux agent. So what are the best practices when you have a certain issue, how you are going to approach it? The first thing I do always is go to the logs. So I will check the Windows event logs, the operation manager logs, and it's the first place I turn if there are any issues with my SCOM agents. What I need to note here is that later in the presentation, while we cover the rest of the components, you'll definitely see this point, Windows event logs, popping out. So with the Windows event logs, is really a key, let's put it this way, a key place where you will find very important troubleshooting information. And although the Windows agents are not that chatty as the rest of the rows, specifically the management server row, you certainly will find there very, very interesting information regarding your issue. So, of course, the SCOM console can be leveraged if you want to get additional information on possible problems. So you have the active alerts view, which might contain alerts to your agent, also the agent detail view, agent performance, even the Windows computer view will give you more details on what is happening or what could be possibly wrong with a certain agent in SCOM. Of course, of major importance is to utilize the management pack which Kevin Holman developed regarding SCOM administration. I do it also because of the many very, very useful administration tasks you can find there, which help me get certain events from the agents if the agent is really still working. And also there are other admin tasks which you can use for troubleshooting purposes. So going forward with the Windows agent, what I also do when I cannot find the reason for a certain issue, I do ETL tracing or verbose agent logging. So in most cases, this is a trace or a log file which is not that easily, not that readable, not that easy to interpret, but with some researching and then some interpretation, I think you can manage this, and it's really very, very helpful. Of course, the so-called workflow analyzer, which is part of the Microsoft System Center Management Pack tools, it will help you understand how data flows within different workflows, and it will help you troubleshooting if there are issues with certain workflows running on your agent or also on your management server. So we have a certain amount of common issues and their fixes. Of course, we have the issue with the SCOM Windows agent cache. We already know, or each of us should know actually, that reinitializing the cache helps in many, many cases and solves many, many different issues. Of course, there are many different issues related to ports and general agent connectivity. And of course, we have also the authentication issues and certificate issues. So all the stuff either related to Kerberos or related to certificate-based authentication, which need to be looked at. And of course, I had this also on many occasions. Stale agents in the database could lead also to agent-based problems. And there is really a nice article from Kevin Holman, which depicts how you can clean stale agents from the database. But big, let's say, remark there, you need to take into consideration that altering the SCOM database leads to a non-supported scenario. So it is an important remark. So at the end of each component, I will offer you a couple of screenshots, and those are mainly articles which are very, very useful. In the most cases, they are coming either direct from Microsoft Learn, so those are directly Microsoft articles, or like we all know, for articles or blog posts written from non-specialists, MVPs, or community members. And regarding the SCOM Windows agents, you see there is a lot which is out there, a lot of information, a lot of very useful information, and more importantly, there is information in form of a guide. So if you have this, please do this. If you have this event, check this. So you can easily get your hands on this information. I also have written a blog post on troubleshooting the Windows COM agents, which contains very detailed information to all of the points we just pointed out. Needless to say that actually diving deep into each troubleshooting issue or action can take a while, so we will do a crash course today. So going further with the Linux agent, so what's important when troubleshooting the Linux agent is, of course, some checks like you need to verify the agent status on the Linux system directly. There are certain commands for that. You see them on the screen right now. And of course, you can also inspect the Linux system log files, which are also at the specified locations, because in the most cases, they will contain information regarding certain issues with your Linux agent. So a little bit on the discovery and communication troubleshooting. So as you all know, in order to set up Linux monitoring, you need to set up also the respective certificate infrastructure. So, and also commonly there are issues with the certificate-based authentication between your SCOM management servers and your Linux agents. So this is also a very popular, let's say, troubleshooting area. Of course, you need to verify that the required ports, which are 22 for SSH and 2070 for agent communications, are open between your SCOM management servers and your Linux devices. And also, of course, as you all know, there is an article which points you not only to the proper ports, but also to the proper direction in which the port should be opened. So I hope everybody of you knows how to get to this information. And of course, DNS resolution and connectivity between your management servers, which are part of your Linux monitoring resource pools, and your agents should be there so that the whole thing can function properly. And of course, if you use the SCOM console discovery wizard, you'll get to discover certain agents. You'll get very, very helpful tips while doing this, helpful tips regarding troubleshooting your agent. And one more area will be agent installation and configuration. There, what you need to do is to ensure that your Linux agent package is compatible with the target system version. That's very important because there are different Linux agent packages for the different distribution of Linux. It also applies for the management packs you are using within your management group to monitor Linux agents. So, of course, validating the package integrity using checksums is a must. And also, very important point will be to address common SSH authentication problems by verifying that the user permissions which are set on your Linux agent side are really ensuring proper sudo configuration. For this purpose, we previously had a Social TechNet, if I'm not mistaken, article which contained the exact set of permissions for each Linux agent or Linux distribution, sorry. But now we have the so-called templates for elevation, which is part of the Microsoft Learn, and that's why I'm putting the screenshot out there. I'll try to create a small blog post after this event to just to post each link related to troubleshooting regarding each component in SCOM, because there are lots of links, and that's why I'm currently presenting you more screenshots than actual links which you cannot copy like this. So going further with SCOM agents, Linux common issues, so discovery failures. Very common reason is actually incorrect set run as credential or the permissions we already mentioned. Also network issues or blocked ports. Like we already mentioned, there are two very important ports which need to be open in order for the communication to happen properly. We also have some agent health and configuration issues, like we can use different commands to monitor the agent status and also diagnose problems. And you can also issue those commands directly from SCOM. Of course, issues related to proper permissions will arise if you don't use the proper templates for configuring your distributions. So it's important to set the proper permissions depending on your Linux distribution. And some management pack tips regarding Linux monitoring. So like we already mentioned, you need to use only the management packs which are specifically designed for your Linux or Unix environment, and also really adjusted to your distribution and version. Of course, what's important also is to regularly update the management packs to their latest version. In the most cases, when a new update rollup comes, there also a new version of the agents for Linux and also a new, in the most cases, new versions of the management packs. So regularly, please check for the latest version of your management packs and update those in order to avoid different problems. And like with the previous component, we have a couple of screenshots here. Of course, we turn back to Microsoft Learn for very detailed and enhanced troubleshooting guides. So like you see here on the screen, troubleshooting the monitoring of Unix and Linux computers and also troubleshooting agent discovery. Very important are those two blocks from Blake Trom. Blake is also, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Microsoft PFE, and he writes a lot of blog posts on troubleshooting SCOM. So if you're not familiar with this name, please note this down. His blog is really fantastic. And when we talk about Linux troubleshooting, I cannot skip, of course, this three-part series of POP. And although, if you notice here, the year is 2010, the information there is still applicable in the most cases, and of course, the whole approach is still valid also today. So that was it for Linux agent troubleshooting. Let's go further with SCOM management server. I can talk for hours here, and it was really challenging for me to summarize the most important parts here. With the agent, I will start with the most important, or the first place I turn to when I need to get more information, Windows event logs. So get familiar with event filtering and searching in order to be more effective while troubleshooting. That's my advice to you. And of course, use the built-in SCOM views so management server state, actually all the views which are under monitoring operations manager. Those views will give you very, very detailed information on what's wrong with your management server or what's happening in your management group in general. Of course, as we saw also for the Windows agent, we have diagnostic tracing or the so-called ETL tracing, which can be very, very helpful when you are troubleshooting management server related issues. And as we mentioned earlier, the so-called workflow analyzer is what I also use very often when troubleshooting workflows on my management server. So going further, slide 2 regarding SCOM management server troubleshooting. What I do also when I have different issues with my management server, very common thing is I turn to SQL queries in order to get useful information regarding the status of my management server or management group. So this is just an example. Kevin has a very nice, let's say, a summary of almost all SQL queries which you can use for different troubleshooting purposes and reporting purposes. Of course, those can be extended and adjusted to your needs. I have screenshotted just only 2 use cases like large table query or database size and unit space queries, which are available there. But there are also hundreds of other SQL queries which you can use in order to troubleshoot your management server. So this is very important because some things or some information or the level of detail you can get, you can find is only available in the database itself. Going further with some common management server issues and their fixes. So the database connectivity issues, we have a very, let's say, famous warning with this ID. There is a whole guide written on this. How to troubleshoot this, what are the steps, what are the common causes for this. Of course, we have all the issues which are arising when you have service failures or crashes or issues with the service accounts which are used for your services. We have, of course, 3 important services on each management server, and in most cases they use 2 or more even service accounts, which could have different problems. So we have also high CPU usage or memory leaks or grayed out management server states. All of this information you can actually troubleshoot by following the System Center Operations Manager troubleshooting guide. And I'll get back to this, but it's let's say, the detailed collection of many different links focused or around troubleshooting. And I also find myself turning to this article to solve different problems. So like with the other components, this is the troubleshooting guide, which I mentioned previously. And if you notice here on the left side, you have the agent, management packs troubleshooting, network monitoring, notifications. And if you extend the menu, then you'll see many other entries below. So feel free to go ahead and explore a bit the troubleshooting guide. Of course, 2 more important things. One is the blog of Kevin, of course. I search here for troubleshooting. He has countless articles on troubleshooting SCOM. And the one of Blake, which I already mentioned. Blake has an enormous collection on articles written on troubleshooting SCOM. So you can go to their blogs, and in most cases you can, I'm pretty sure you'll find a solution or a clue how to solve your problem. Moving further with the SCOM gateway, of course, Windows event logs for SCOM gateway. So the SCOM gateway is not that complex as the management server. So more or less it's let's say an extended implementation of a SCOM agent, so it forwards information to its primary management server, and because of this, that the troubleshooting or the causes for issues are limited, and also the troubleshooting there. So you see the Windows event logs. Of course, common cause for issues with the SCOM gateways are connectivity issues or connection to primary management server. Of course, closed ports or DNS resolution issues could be the cause for this. So this is what you need to verify. You can use telnet, you can use test net connection, and also other means in order to troubleshoot port connectivity, and also name resolution should be pretty clear. So, of course, in the SCOM console, we have a view for this, and it's also the view under Operations Manager, where you can find the status of your gateways. You can open the Health Explorer, drill down, and see what SCOM actually sees regarding the gateway server role, and this might give you a clue on how to approach a certain problem. Next, certificate troubleshooting for SCOM gateway server. As we all know, in the most cases, or very frequently, it's the case that SCOM gateways are actually communicating with your management server or authenticating using certificate-based authentication. So troubleshooting certificates is a big part of troubleshooting the SCOM gateway, at least in my experience. So it's very important that your certificates which you are using for the SCOM gateway and as well as for your management server, that they are properly configured. So they have the proper subject name and has key usage and all the important properties which SCOM certificate should have. Then what you can use, and I do it always when I have an issue with the communication between a gateway and a management server and I use certificates, is to leverage the certificate checker script, which is written by Blake Drum. I think he used another script, an older version of the script, and enhanced it. And we'll see right away how it looks like. Very, very helpful in my opinion, very helpful troubleshooting script, because it checks all the possible causes for a certificate let's say, certificate-based issue within SCOM and displays a very nice output for this. And some common certificate issues and solutions. So like we already mentioned, misconfigured or expired certificates. So they're not imported with MomCert import, or they have incorrect properties or expired or whatever. So you have mutual authentication failures, like we already mentioned. In order for the certificate-based authentication to happen, you need certificates on both ends. So don't forget to troubleshoot not only the gateway certificates, but also the certificates of the management servers, which you have installed on the management servers, primary and secondary for your SCOM gateway. And some best practices. It's advisable to monitor and of course regularly update your certificates. There are management packs for this, as we all know. So this should be an easy task to achieve. And of course, make sure you have DNS resolution and also proper network connectivity. This could also be monitored in order to prevent possible issues with the gateway. So moving further to the gateway, as with the other rows, we have a couple of screenshots. This one is of the SCOM certificate checker script. Like I mentioned, I think it's optimized by Blake Drum, or it could also have been developed by Blake. And the script produces an output like this. And actually, each row that you see in green color is one of the possible, let's say, reasons for failing certificate-based authentication check. So like private key, expiration, enhanced key usage, key spec, serial number, and all the possible reasons. It's very, very useful for me at least, and I think you should also use it in case you need to troubleshoot this. And of course, we have one article in Microsoft Learn which points to troubleshooting agent connectivity issues, but actually it covers a lot regarding SCOM gateways and what you need to do in order to ensure that your gateway is communicating with your management server. Jumping forward to the SCOM Web Console, the SCOM Web Console is, of course, based on IIS, and as such, we have a lot of issues which are arising from misconfigured authentication settings or also authorization settings. So it's in the most cases when I'm doing the troubleshooting, it's the first thing to check. Even I don't go to event logs. I just open the IIS manager and start checking all the settings. So you have Windows authentication, anonymous authentication, and how you choose those settings could also depend on what your enterprise or organization's policy is regarding authentication. So in certain cases, you need to tweak the settings a bit in order to get it working. Like we mentioned, IIS Manager to review all the settings and also ensure that the permissions are properly set. In the case where you have the web console not on a management server, there are a lot of many, let's say, possible causes for problems with the web console because of the fact that you need, let's say, Kerberos authentication to happen in another way. You need actually to make sure that you don't have connectivity issues, so all your ports are open properly. Kerberos constraint delegation is properly set. That's what I meant with Kerberos, because there's some exchanging in Kerberos tickets, and the basis for this is actually that you have properly configured SPNs for SCOM. This we mentioned. And of course, the last thing would be also checking event logs and IIS logs, especially in the case of the web console. IIS logs is actually the place where I find more useful information, like authentication errors, connectivity problems, or some strange server responses. So we have some general troubleshooting steps regarding the web console. You can check the webconfig file for misconfigurations. You need to ensure that the ASP.NET version in IIS does match the web console's requirements. It's an important one. And Also make sure your application pools in IIS are properly configured for that. You can restart application pools in order to refresh the whole thing, or actually use IIS reset to refresh the configuration in case you have done any changes. And also what's important, and I will advise you to do always, is you need to turn back to the last cumulative update or roll-up update for SCOM, because it could be that there is a certain known issue with the web console which has been addressed in the latest roll-up. So the articles again, the first one, you see the HTTP 500 error is actually the case where you have the web console installed not on a management server, but on another system. And also we have the one more article which actually describes common or known issues with SCOM web console. And there's a very nice article of Kevin Justin which talks about authentication and authorization within the SCOM web console. So if you want to understand the process better, of course, this will make your troubleshooting, of course, better. You can go back and check it out. So next will be the SCOM fat console, so to say. Of course, event logs, as always, event logs, SCOM is very chatty. So most of the issues which arise with either with the management server or with the console, you will find clues there. And in most cases, those are important clues. So always turn back to the Windows event logs. And of course, some common issues. We know that the SCOM console is sensitive one, so clearing the cache might solve if you have some strange behavior or issues. And of course, because the SCOM console is actually an SDK connection or a connection to the SDK service of your management server, you need to address possible SDK service issues. So you need to ensure that your SDK service is up and running, that it does not generate errors or warnings on restart. So you need to ensure that your service account, which is used for the SDK service, has also the proper permissions. And here, you can turn to the SCOM security matrix, which is also published by Kevin, and you have one for each SCOM version, where you can find the exact permissions for all the service accounts, as well also on the databases, which you need in order for all the services to operate properly. And of course, ETL tracing or process monitor could also help you out if you have some other issues with the SCOM console. Last but not least, TLS and SSL configuration issues, which could arise if your TLS versions are not matching or not properly configured. And you can also use different tools to visualize and also to adjust the TLS versions on your SCOM management servers and also on your databases. Cool. So going further with the SCOM console, we have some issues which could arise if the port is blocked or the DNS resolution of the management server has an issue, because like we already mentioned, we have connectivity to the management server when opening the console. And of course, permissions. So you need to ensure that you are permitted or you have the respective role in SCOM in order to be able to view the SCOM console. Other known issues which could arise, or my sincere advice here will be get the latest update rollup for SCOM in order to ensure that known issues have been eliminated. And as usual, we have a couple of articles. So the first one, you see the console doesn't open and gives SDK service error. And also the article about implementing TLS 1.2 for SCOM, which is actually separated in two, like setting TLS on OS level and also setting TLS on application level, which is very important. You need both in order to ensure proper TLS configuration. And as we already mentioned, the SCOM security account matrix is something I very much like, because I really insist on setting my permissions for SCOM very granularly, and this helps me do it. But this could also be very helpful if you're troubleshooting permission-related issues. So the last row I have here is actually the SCOM reporting services. I can talk a lot about this, actually, because the SCOM reporting services, it consists of SQL reporting services with the installed SCOM reporting services row on top. So there is a lot to troubleshoot, a lot to talk about. I'll just get the most important stuff here, or display the most important stuff. So event logs, in this case, this is the application logs, application log on service restart. Although I must say that in most cases, the event descriptions are not very useful for me. So in most cases, I see any errors, then I know that there is an issue there, but I cannot obtain more information only based on the application logs. So important step is to check the report server configuration. And very, very important is to make sure that the report server URL can be opened. So whenever you click on the URL, it should open and display you the version of the reporting services. This will tell you that the reporting services are working correctly. If you get an error or some other behavior when you try to open the URL, then something is not okay, and then you need to find the reason for that. A very common issue, I think every one of you who has already installed SCOM should know about this. After you install the reporting services, there is a small tweak you need to do in order to ensure that the management packs can be deployed, that the management pack reports can be deployed. And this is configuring this allowed resource extensions for upload property, and to ensure this property is allowing all the extensions. There is an article about this. You will see it right away. Of course, whenever you have reporting, you know that the data is pulled from the data warehouse. So ensuring that you have a proper data source, data warehouse connection is very important. And I have many cases where the data source gets either deleted or is for some reason incorrect. And then you need to go there in the reporting services and enter it manually. There is a certain format for this, but you can find in the internet how exactly the format looks like and ensure you adjust it to your specific environment. And then, of course, related ports. So we have ports from the SCOM console to the reporting server. We have ports from the reporting server to the data warehouse SQL instance. And all those ports are actually found in the article about SCOM firewall requirements, if I'm not mistaken. And last but not least, permissions. So service account, the read service account, data read service account should have the proper permission on your reporting server. It's very important. Otherwise, you have a bunch of issues. And of course, the viewing users should also have a respective row in order to generate reports. So those are the screenshots for reporting services. Operations Manager reports fail to deploy is the article which describes the extensions which need to be tweaked. Of course, configure firewall for Operations Manager. No, it's a must. And there are some other known issues with reporting services or actually articles describing those, which are very, very helpful and also contain other helpful tips for troubleshooting. And I think my last slide for today. So if you need some general tips and if you seek help regarding troubleshooting, of course, Kevin Coleman's blog The one of Blake is very helpful. Bob has written many articles on troubleshooting SCOM over the years, and I cannot name them all because there are so many experts which are blogging about this and writing useful articles. What I want to emphasize is actually that you can get help on the Microsoft Q&A forum platform. It's the platform where I also tend to answer from time to time. So you ask there your question, and in almost all cases, you get a proper answer. And of course, you have also the SCOM forums on Reddit, where I think a lot of colleagues of me are answering, and also Kevin is also answering there. So you can ask your question or describe your issue there. We all know SCOM is there for so many years and there is so much information. So I can encourage you to Google or bring your issue. In the most cases, you will find clues or tips how to do your troubleshooting stuff. And of course, like we already mentioned, if you're troubleshooting the installation of SCOM, you need the so-called SCOM setup logs, where you can find the clues for why your setup is failing. So with this being said, I would like to thank you, and I hope you already are prepared for the next session. I certainly am. Wish you a great day or night ahead. Thank you very much.